How's it going, everybody? This is Rob Novakast back for another video for you guys. And where do I begin with this particular video, or how do I start this? Because on and off, myself, Aden and MJ have been talking about this particular guy, on and off, in terms of, well, if I could be honest, how much of a prick they are. And to an extent, you know, I think it's, as somebody as in the video that we're about to watch will say, this is the you know, probably the best example of fuck around and find out type situation. Johnny Somali, if I can pronounce that correctly, apparently is sentenced to 5 years in jail due to his pardon my French, but to his dumb fuckery in Japan. Now, for those who don't know, this is the guy that was going around in Japan and was basically making himself a public nuisance. It kind of reminds me of another guy who should have got arrested in Japan for being a public nuisance. But this guy was going around being a nuisance to the citizens, going as far as, you know, bringing up Nagasaki and Hiroshima, and just doing a variety of different things that, whereas like for a culture like Japan, who are very I want to say conserved, or I don't know what would be the best term for it, but either way, like very I would say, as far as like as the culture is, very cordial and very respectful, as from what I experienced in my own time in Japan. And you have a guy, you know, playing the dumb American, going through Japan and just making a complete ass of himself. And in terms of his time there, he's been, you know, checked or attacked several times. Apparently got a threat from the Yakuza, and yeah, again, made himself into public enemy #1 in Japan due to his actions. So before I even get to this, because this is interesting, let's look at this video that the group sent to me, or sent to the chat. This streamer is now facing a prison work camp sentence in Japan, and this is from Atozy. Hopefully I said it correctly.
Once upon a time, a complete moron IRL streamer thought it was a good idea to go to Japan and essentially just harass the Japanese people for content. And eventually that backfired tremendously, as the most recent update to this is he's facing being sentenced to a prison work camp to pay off the damages that he's done in Japan. So he's slowly just becoming the textbook definition of F around and find out. And the TLDR of what led him here is he went viral for screaming at Japanese commuters in the subway that America was going to drop nukes on them again.
That, I mean, and saying stuff like that too is it's not right. It's like, no.
And that got so bad that another American had to go up and stop him out of secondhand embarrassment.
Hey, how many subs you have?
Bro, I'm at 1,000 subs right now.
Nice.
Cool. Sit down, brother. Enjoy.
Then he frequently tried to pick up women, but when he was being denied, he started cussing them out.
Okay, can I ask you something? Japanese? Japanese, both. Okay. No. Oh, they're scared. Look. Okay, no, I don't show you.
This dude's a freaking... Oh my gosh. This dude's a joke. This dude's a joke.
Oh man, he's too scared. Japanese, they be showing there's too much filter.
He continues to harass people for days until people just got fed up.
If the police tell me to stop, I will stop. If the police tell me to...
I find that funny. Like, he tells me, oh, if the police will tell me to stop, I'll stop. He continued to do this shit. Even when people were telling him to stop doing it.
Tell me to stop, I will stop. You are not police.
So he got punched in the face randomly dozens of times by strangers. Like, dude became infamous in Japan in just a few days. People showed up to his Airbnb to confront him.
But can we talk? We don't need to fight, you know? Why use words? Let's use words. We're not here to fight. They don't understand?
He was forced to do some sort of traditional Japanese apology, but he just made an absolute joke out of that, which made things even worse for himself.
People in Japan, Paul, Ice Potato, everybody. Sticks the track.
So then he ended up fleeing Japan. And because he thought he was safe, he then started to taunt the Japanese people saying, hey, look, nothing happened to me. Well, clearly he's no scientist, but his next move made me realize, oh, his IQ is probably lower than the average person's shoe size.
Yeah, this guy was, like, I want to say almost IMG station levels of stupid.
Because he returned to Japan just a month later. And did he act normal? No. He made everything way worse for himself because he continued to live stream himself, repeatedly breaking the laws. Then, deja vu, he started getting punched multiple times all over again. He was then finally arrested for trespassing, then released from jail, then arrested again for a completely different charge. He also apparently...
Well, for the trespassing thing, I think that's more due to... There's a video that was presented where he recorded himself going into a construction area, which civilians, if I recall, if there's an area that's under construction and a civilian enters it, it is illegal. So him having no business in a construction area in Japan, proceeding to walk into an area that is restricted. Yeah, I mean, I can understand the rest for trespassing.
Apparently brought his friend the second time he went to Japan, and that friend got arrested as well. And unfortunately for him, he live streamed everything he did there. And Japanese broadcasting laws, they can be extremely strict. My understanding is he can actually be sued for broadcasting from businesses without their consent. So it's safe to say that things are looking terrible for the streamer Johnny Somali. And I didn't realize how bad things were for him until a viewer from Japan actually reached out to me and explained, hey, you English speakers have missed a lot of the key details here. So my response was, please enlighten me. What are we missing to the situation? So he explained to me that Johnny is not only just facing prison time, but also a decent amount of monetary cost and potentially a long time in custody before even being charged with anything. He explains that Johnny can be held for 28 days on the original charge, which is apparently 48 hours for the original hold, plus 24 hours to ask for an extension, plus an additional 10-day extension, plus another 10-day extension, and then an additional 5-day extension on top of that if needed. However, he was released without indictment and then arrested again on a new charge. So his detention time will now be reset for an additional 28 days. Repeated arrests can result in indefinite detention before formal charge before his court. If they find more charges to arrest him for, they can hold him for however long they want before they indict him with crimes. It's likely they're going to keep releasing and rearresting him to continue to hold him indefinitely while they gather evidence.
Yeah, I mean, they got all the evidence they need through his stupid videos and live streams. So, because this guy has made a complete ass of himself.
Johnny really effed around and found out in the wrong country. And unfortunately for him, I mean, he streams every single day of just him repeatedly committing crimes.
Exactly.
So it's like, they'll just go through all of his VODs and charge him with every single time he committed a crime. So he can actually be in detention for a while. But he goes on to explain regarding the...
Okay, this is the video. Where he was trespassing on a construction site.
Other charges, they're investigating him for entering places without permission, such as kitchens of restaurants.
Oh, so wait, hold on. I'm sorry, I keep pausing. That's how I react. So I can give a response. Okay, that makes, because he mentioned the trespass, so that must have been a different thing. So, as he just pointed out, there was another charge for entering a location that he's not supposed to be. So okay, that makes sense.
But may also be investigating the live broadcast portion because of Japan's strict privacy laws. This got him in trouble on his last visit to Japan with streaming on the train. It's not a criminal offense to photograph or film in public places, but it can be a civil offense if people find out their likeliness was published. But if he was in a private space like a restaurant, then it can be an issue. He said that he will not speak without a lawyer. He can have a consular representative available to help him understand what is happening and direct him to resources to help him. But because these are considered
Almost
minor charges under Japanese law, he's not entitled to a court-appointed lawyer until his indictment before the court. Since he can be detained indefinitely while they add more charges, it may be a while before he gets a lawyer unless he privately hires a lawyer. He must pay out of pocket for a private lawyer, which is formally charged before the court. He can get a court-appointed lawyer, and if they do not speak English, a court-appointed translator. Most of the time, they're paid for by the court, but if he gets a judge that does not like him or upsets the judge can make him pay for the court-appointed lawyer and translator as well. He then went on to say there's been a few cases where a sincere apology and an offer of payment to victims of the crime have led to release, but he doesn't think this will be the case in this situation given the previous apologies and the continued behavior. Apparently 75% of the cases are dropped before getting to trial, so there's a possibility of it being dropped, but in this case he has already overstayed his visa and then will get rearrested for that as well. So Johnny is currently stuck between a rock and a hard place no matter what happens here. If he's found guilty, he apparently has two options for sentence. The first is a suspended sentence, which is the most likely. He does not go to jail, but must not commit another crime in Japan for a certain number of years. He will also have to pay fines and compensation. The second option is that he goes to jail, in which case he will serve a prison term with hard labor. Prisoners may receive partial credit for the time served prior to conviction, but this is determined by a judge, not guaranteed. There's a small wage for the hard labor, which is usually used to pay off any fines and compensation requirements.
All right.
Subject to deportation upon release due to overstay, he is expected to pay for his own deportation. If he cannot pay for his own flight, he will then detained at the deportation center until he can receive enough financial assistance to pay for the flight. And anyway, he will have to pay money for his own defense and exit from the country. And then on top of that, he likely has to pay for fines and potential victim compensation. But he also goes on to say that if Johnny does get prison time, it's going to be very hard. The current belief is that he will not get jail time, so he cannot claim to be a victim when he's released. But right now, he says that he'll likely continue to get rearrested over and over again while they find charges against him and hold him as long as they can. So, I mean, if anything, this should be a massive wake-up call for tourists and other content creators wanting to do content like this. When you're visiting somewhere, respect the culture and just follow the rules. It's,
you know, he makes a good point, and if I'm gonna be, if I could be somewhat like, I don't know if transparent would probably be the best word. Being just like looking at like past examples. We have individuals like Logan Paul who have become kind of like an inspiration to a lot of the behavior for streamers. As you all know, Logan Paul, like, and it's not just the Suicide Forest video. Like, just so you guys know, that is not the only thing that Logan Paul was doing. There, before even that video, there is a trip video where he makes a complete ass of himself with his fellow, creators, and continuously makes himself into a public nuisance. And unfortunately, due to people like him, other creators have put it in their heads that, oh, maybe if Logan Paul was able to do that, then why not me? Or kind of pushing the envelope at this point on what they can do. Which is why we had, a variety of different, creators like, again, J Station, who were pretending to go to a suicide forest and, doing the exact same thing that Logan Paul did. So, unfortunately, due to, I guess, previous content creators pushing the envelope, so to speak, on how to act and how to portray themselves and basically how to behave in public, you have other creators that emulate that same behavior and, to a great degree, copy like completely, like just carbon copy what those people do. So if I were, if there was anything to blame, I mean, this ultimately this guy, Somali is, you know, he's a prick, but his behavior is nothing new, and Somali is just the example of what should have been done for other creators that were making themselves into a nuisance. So anyway,
It's really not that hard. And especially for my fellow Americans out there, we don't have the same rights in foreign countries. Just put it out there. So Johnny spent months monetizing himself, harassed people, and he's now facing repercussions. And unfortunately, it doesn't seem like influencers have learned from this at all, because now there's a new influencer incident that I'll be covering in a future video. And I also noticed this comment on my last video that said, I work in Japan in media and previously advertising. Japanese law is technically very strict about obtaining rights to film. Filming inside a private establishment without consent is illegal, and even filming outside without blurring out passerbys and advertisements is also technically illegal. 99.999% of the time, they won't bother enforcing it. But it's something they can legally wave at you if they're after you for whatever reason. It's why the Fast and Furious 3 specifically hired a fall guy to get arrested to film the iconic Shibuya crossing scene. The police can keep tacking on more charges. It's a matter of how much they want to pile on until the prosecution is satisfied with the level of punishment. Police are super nice in Japan. Drunks routinely jeer at them with zero repercussion, but if you fall on their bad side, you're really screwed. Well, apparently, if we've learned anything from this series, it is don't F around in Japan. But if Johnny does indeed end up in...
I mean, ultimately, be respectful. I mean, and that goes for any other country that you go to. I mean, if you're not... If your rights are different than another country's, then be respectful to the country that you're visiting. I think that's ultimately the bottom line. And again, unfortunately, creators like Somali, Logan Paul, and etc., like, feel that, oh, I'm a content creator, I could do whatever F I want, and they learn really quickly that that is not the case.
Some prison work camp, that'll definitely be a very unexpected outcome, because just like 6 weeks ago we thought he was going to get away with all of this and not even be punished. But whatever happens, I'll keep you guys updated, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
Alright, so we looked at that, which honestly, good video from Atozy. So now let's look at this real quick. Alright, fellas, so fact check. Is Johnny Somali sentenced to 5 years in jail? Current status explored. Controversial kick streamer Johnny Somali became the talk of the town after social media reports suggested he was sentenced to 5 years in Japanese prison. The content creator made headlines earlier this month on October 12th, 2023, when he was rearrested for allegedly hosting an unauthorized live stream inside a restaurant in Tokyo. According to According to the Sankai News, the Osaka Prefecture Police South Police Station has been investigating Johnny Somali's case, labeling him a nuisance online distributor. I think that's somewhat accurate. I would say, prick, but yeah. Sankai News reported. On Sunday, they decided to arrest him again on suspicion of forcibly obstructing business operations for causing a nuisance by broadcasting a live stream without permission at a restaurant in Osaka City, according to investigators. Khalid is suspected of disrupting. I don't know why I've said, it could be the glasses. Disrupting the business of restaurants in Osaka, Osaka. I think it's Osaka, by filming them and distributing the video on the internet. And then earlier today, October 25th, it's October 25th, 2023, posts claim that the Kick streamer has been sentenced to 5 years in prison. Went wild on platforms such as Reddit and X, formerly Twitter. At the time of writing, no official sources had confirmed that Johnny Somali would be facing a 5-year prison sentence. According to X user TZGNIS, the 24-year-old was detained on his second charge. They added, "This is false news. Johnny Somali is still detained on his second charge. Police will keep rearresting him and he'll serve 30 days of detainment for each charge. Once they're done stacking charges, he'll be prosecuted in front of a judge." Steve was heading in that direction too. So there's the all right, let's see. Is that a new article? Okay, I was saying no trace of this streamer. Okay, so no trace of this on Japanese media. Netizen respond to viral claims of Johnny Somali being sentenced to 5 years in jail. The Kick streamer update was the top post on the r/World News subreddit, garnering over 3,000 upvotes. Okay. One Redditor claimed to have looked for this information on Tokyo's official subreddit and commented that Johnny Somali was under pre-detention. Alright, and it says Redditor u/ashes of Arakuza claimed to be a Japanese resident, stating that there was no trace of Somali's arrest in the media. They added, "Japan resident here, it's fake, no trace of this on Japanese media. He only got arrested about a month ago. It's not that fast of a process." So we have people from, okay, so here's a bunch of comments. "He deserves it. I know he's a menace, but 5 years, nah, free him." No, I mean, if he's if he was continuously breaking the law, then yeah, 5 years, he deserves that. Made an example out of him. Japan, good. Lamau. All right, continuing, or at least finishing. Oh, that's the different thing. So it just says Johnny Somali rose to prominence this year after videos of him repeatedly making racist remarks about Japanese people went viral. Readers interested in learning. Okay, so, and that is the end of that article. But I think it goes without saying that, yeah, this guy went to Japan thinking he was just going to get away with a lot of racist shit. And in the end, learns very, very, very quickly that some of his antics were not going to be taken lightly. And if anybody ever watches my videos, I mean, just look at you. I'm just gonna because again, there's this impression that you have to be as obnoxious and as destructive as you can be to be a streamer or a content creator. I think if I have any final words, it's don't make yourself into a public nuisance and don't piss off the country that you're visiting. Otherwise, you will learn that your actions will not be taken lightly. So, anyway, that is it from me. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys can, please leave a like, comment, share, subscribe, all the good stuff. If you guys want to follow us on social media, links are in the description down below, as well as check out our daily content and the weekly podcast. With that being said, this is Novakast signing off. Have a good one. Take care, and I'll see you guys next video.